is a site engineer. Mahmoud is a planning engineer in Saudi, and Said is a planning engineer. Good evening, all. And Fatima is a civil engineering student. John is a planning engineer. Azhar is a site engineer. Hello, Rajesh from Qatar. Mu'min is a site engineer. Mushtaq, Salam, and Hassan is a civil engineer. So I guess that we are in the right place right now because most of you came from planning background or civil engineering background, construction background in general. This webinar is about planning engineers, project control. We will talk about some practical tips and how to move forward in our career or just for the sake of project control knowledge. Mahmoud is a planning engineer, and Muhammad joined us QS. Muhammad is a planning engineer. Muhammad Ajumal is a mechanical site engineer. Wa alaikum assalam, Muhammad. Isa is a PM. Ahmad is a planning engineer. Sadat is a planning engineer. Muhammad is a testing engineer. Welcome you all, and it's a pleasure to have you tonight. I'm gonna start the webinar right now without any delay. We have a lot to cover, and we will answer some of your questions at the end of the webinar. So before I start, if you have any questions about project control and planning, feel free to type them in the Q&A. You will have at the bottom Q&A icon. Just type your question, and at the end of the webinar, I'm gonna go over all questions and answer them one by one. And at the beginning, I'm gonna give a little bit about myself in case you are joining me for the first time. I am a practitioner in project control since 2010, skilled in planning, Power BI, delay analysis, and claims, bachelor degree in civil engineering. I studied my MBA in the UK. I did my research around construction projects, and I offered consultations during my study in the UK as well. I worked in super large construction projects, member of PMI and the ASCEI. I currently serve as the Director of Marketing at ASCEI, the UAE chapter. It's a volunteer role, and I am based in the UAE. I offer project control services and the procedures for companies, delay analysis and the claims, and project control training. I am PMP, PSP, and PMI SP certified. And before I start, I would like to know a little bit about you. Why are you here? Some of you said a planning engineer. Maybe some of you want to pursue a career in planning. So I'm gonna launch the question right now. You have 20 seconds to submit your answers. The majority, 60% of you, are not planning engineers, but wanted to pursue a career in planning. This is the content of our webinar. We will talk about the necessity of automation, why we need automation in project control, the interactive dashboard in project control, principles of data analytics, and the benefits of automation in project control. Why do we need automation more than ever before? Because we have more complex projects than ever before. We have Expo project, iconic towers in every major city, high-rise buildings, and even whole cities to support urbanization for the growing population worldwide. So projects are not getting any easier, it's getting more complicated. And it wasn't the case 20 years ago. So we have more challenges, of course. All industries are innovating. Challenges are not only for construction, we have it across all industries. But in other industries like banks, IT, fintech, they are all innovating. They have softwares, they have automation, they have systems in place. And when you want to improve one aspect of the industry, other supporting operations should improve too. So here is an example. Let's look at banks, for example. A bank will automate all transactions. They don't have to process everything manually. Like there is automation. Sometimes the transfers are instant. You get SMS. You got my point. Can you imagine that for each request, like the accounting department in the bank will handle the paperwork manually? It just doesn't make sense. You know, you have, so when you want to reach more customers, you want to go internationally, you want to expand your customers base, and you want to improve, if you want to upgrade the delivery, you have to improve customer service, user interface, communications, QC, risk management. I hope it makes sense. So the accounting has to upgrade and innovate as well. So we will be playing at the same level. How is it related to us in construction? Because of the challenges we face today, we see innovations. We have pre-custom models. We have modular systems. In case you don't know about modular systems, it's like systems which are assembled outside the project or off-site. They are delivered to site for installation only. So it is assembled off-site and installed on-site. So we see right now innovations in construction and execution. Project control is one area as well. And as I explained, if you have one area to improve, other supporting operations should upgrade too. So we are not doing really well in project control. We are innovating well in execution, not too much in project control. So I hope you are following the argument right now. We have more challenges than ever before across all industries. We are trying to face these challenges. We try to improve one area, but other supporting operations should improve too. Let's look at the challenges in project control and why aren't we doing our best right now. We still have traditional progress report preparation, the same way we did like 15 years ago. Manual progress analysis, open your XCR file, apply Primavera filter, and hope for the best. If you want to look for information, you have to import XCR files. You have your report hosted in Excel, or 99% of the people do that. So they have to validate calculations, they have to review Excel formulas, errors, and so on. You copy some data from Primavera, you paste it in Excel, You have to format the report, like format tables and format borders. It's all manual. Because of the above, you struggle with the workload and the meeting deadlines. Then another struggle is you have to prepare progress presentations manually. You have to select certain data, present them in a nice way inside PowerPoint, for example. So you have another challenge as well. It's time consuming. Some companies spend the money on project control solutions. That's a challenge from company's perspective. They want to hire competent planning engineers to do all of the above quickly and accurately. So the struggle with the expenses, they are looking to hire more expensive qualified planners. It's a challenge for the company, and I will explain in few minutes how we position ourselves to become more valuable. Because if you want to approach a company, it's about the value you are providing them. Are you going to save them some cost? Are you adding value? So this is something we will talk about throughout the webinar. Before we shift gears to Power BI, I'm gonna ask you this question. What is your level in Power BI right now? Low proficiency, high proficiency, or you have never heard of Power BI before? You have 20 seconds. The majority never heard of Power BI before. Power BI is a Microsoft software. It's like Excel and PowerPoint and Microsoft Word, just another Microsoft program. BI is short for business intelligence. It is meant for companies to process huge sets of data, but we can use it in planning as well, which is really, really valuable, and it will help us overcome these challenges that I have talked about a few minutes ago. Before I start, I'm gonna highlight some advanced concepts. Okay, so maybe you are starting out, and maybe you are not a planning engineer. Maybe you don't know SPI, your earned value. The purpose is not to teach you planning in this webinar, because I cannot teach you planning in 1 hour. The purpose is to introduce you to the possibilities we have, to the value which technology brings us, and how it can make our life easier, and how we can position ourselves to become more valuable. Because companies will never beg for anyone, right? If you are the best planning engineer ever, no company will beg for you. However, what we can do is to position ourselves to become more valuable, to add value to our projects, to stand out from the competition. And that's how you can really stand out. And I'm going to give you one example quickly before I start Power BI. Let's imagine one AutoCAD user, and he is very advanced in what he is doing. For me, I'm not impressed because there are so many who do that. Let's imagine the same AutoCAD user, the advanced one, has the same skills 15 years ago. It was really valuable because AutoCAD was new, not many people were competent. So when you look at it, both persons have the same skills. But why is someone more valuable than the other? Because it is not about what you are good at, It's about what you are relatively good at compared to the rest of the population or the pool of candidates or competitors, whatever you want to call it. So I hope it makes sense. If you are advanced Primavera user, doesn't really impress me. But 10 years ago, it was something, right? So what we are trying to do right now is we want to be in the top 1%. We want to have something, acquire some skills that very few planning engineers around us have, which makes you more valuable. You can have the same skills and you continue to use Power BI for 10 years. But after 10 years, I cannot promise you if it will become very valuable. Maybe we will have another webinar to talk about the trends, back after that. But I hope you got the idea. And that's why the majority of you did not hear about Power BI before, right? Okay, so that's one dashboard. It's only a sample. I have my contract information, contract to start and the contract to finish, forecasted finish as per schedule update, project delays or negative float, variance percentage, SPI, planned versus actual as per both cost and man hours, time elapsed versus time remaining percentage, remaining cost and earned value cost, a summary of progress curve, planned versus actual, activity wise, the project delay trend, summary, and another representation of planned versus actual, activity wise, but we see the figure itself. Here it's a more visual, but here you can see the figure itself, right? So that's one nice dashboard. I have all the dashboard updated on a specific data date. And with one click, I can recall the information or the whole report on a specific. I can apply one filter, like concrete, for example. So with one click, I get the whole dashboard. So it is the dashboard for concrete work with one click on a specific data date, of course, because concrete progress will change every week, right? So you can always go back and change data date. You can use one filter or apply combination of filters. So maybe I want to not only concrete for the whole project, but maybe for this area only. Okay, you can use combination of filters. You can go back to data date. It's like the schedule is really fluid. You know, you are not constrained by the static reporting. You are not constrained by what you are looking at because that's what we have in our projects. I'm gonna send you a dashboard, and you have to make a decision based on what you see. But what if I need more investigation, like what I showed you right now? So I see the concrete progress. I want to go back to a data date. I want to apply another filter. It's natural when you want to analyze progress, right? Okay, so that's the whole project, and I'm looking at the planned versus actual on my dashboard, and for example, this activity, maybe slab reinforced concrete. It's in delay, right? That's the planned versus actual. So I can click on it and the whole dashboard will be updated accordingly. So in this case, that's the forecasted finish of slab reinforced concrete, the delay of slab reinforced concrete, variance, SPI, like everything for slab reinforced concrete. You can go back to data date, any data date of your choice. Like for example, I want to see the results. Like I want to see if the delay is increasing or not, right? So I'm gonna go, okay, so after 1 week, okay, variance reduced. With one click, that's what we really need in our projects, like the flexibility, convenience, right? Flow of the project control model. So you want a model, you don't need 10 Excel sheets, right? You want one model. Okay. and you can also click. Maybe I have delay in a snapshot as well, so I'm gonna click on that, and the whole dashboard will be updated accordingly. You might feel that it's a bit slow, but it's super fast actually. Remember, I have Zoom application. I am sharing my screen. I am recording the session. So it takes a lot from my memory space, but for normal user, it's really, really quick. It's even quicker than what I showed you. I know some of you have questions. So if you have any question, just type it in the Q&A. I will go over all the questions and answer them one by one. That's a progress curve, one for cost and one for man hours. Weekly allocations. I have the planned versus actual on weekly basis, which are the bars, and cumulative, which are lines. Maybe I am not interested in the whole project. I want to analyze this part only because this is where I have actuals only. So I can grab the slider and customize like the timeline. It's really up to me. It's the same information, but I zoom in to analyze the progress further. Or I might want to have a progress curve for concrete work only. So I click on concrete, and with one click, I have progress curve for concrete. So what does it mean here? Imagine that the concrete is a separate project. It has its own timeline, contract value, progress. So it's like a separate project. So that's the progress curve for concrete only. So what you see here is 3.23% of concrete only. Okay, cumulative 100%, for concrete only. And also I have the corresponding indicators. With one click, I get whatever I want in concrete, right? With one click. And the reason I am doing that here, because sometimes maybe a project manager like will ask you, I want to report about concrete performance. So just one click, have everything updated, printed, and your report is done. You can continue to perform more analysis if you want. And you can always change data date. So these are the indicators for concrete on a specific data date. So you can always go back and change that if you want. Okay. And maybe I use combination of filters. So maybe I'm not interested in all concrete works. I'm interested in column reinforced concrete. But there is no progress here. So we can have something else. But you got the idea. We have concrete. Maybe we have this part of the project. So you got the idea. Progress Matrix is one of my favorite tools. You have the list of activities in the project. It shows you planned percentage as per both early and late distribution, actual percentage, and the variance percentage. The formatting is done for me. You remember when we talked about the challenges in project control? We talked about spending time on formatting, but in Power BI, the formatting is done for you. So if it's in delay, the activity will be highlighted automatically in red. Same highlights will be shown here. If it's ahead, it's gonna be highlighted in green. We have also yellow bars that represent the strength of the value. So 100% is full bar. 31% is 31% of the bar. But why do I do that? Because not all delays are equal. Your attention is not equal. You should weaponize your attention to things that matter the most. 30% delay in concrete will be treated differently than 100% delay in housekeeping, right? Like you got the idea. So when I look at delays, I wanna sort it by planned percentage because these are the activities that needs my attention. I'm gonna give you another example. Plastering work. It's in delay, right? Practically, it is in delay. But the planned percentage, it's 0.13%. It has just started maybe today or yesterday. It's still in delay, but I will treat it differently than the delay here for slab reinforced concrete, for example. So you got my idea. That's why I have this bar. So I don't have to look at the figure, read all numbers. I'm gonna maybe review first the one with the full bars or maybe half bars, right? As always, we can go back to any data date of our choice and recall the information we want. And all formatting will be updated automatically. But maybe I don't want to look at the whole project, all activities. Maybe I want to look at concrete only. So you filter by concrete, and I have the corresponding indicators on a specific data date. You can always go back and change data date. Or let's find something interesting. Maybe I don't want all activities for the project, but I want to see the whole activities, all activities, but for maybe ground floor. So it's the same activities, but for ground floor only. So I'm only analyzing ground floor at this point. Maybe I want to analyze concrete for ground floor specifically. With one click, I get what I want on a specific data date. It's like you own the project. It's like because the term project control implies that you control the project, not controlled by, you will not be controlled by the project. But most planning engineers are controlled by the project, right? They are overwhelmed with the details. They are in a race to meet the deadline to submit the report on time. I know that because I have been there. I did not graduate and use the Power BI right away. I used the P3 for some time. If you are maybe a fresh graduate, you will not understand what I mean here. You can search P3, Primavera P3. So it was a nightmare. Uh, but that's how we evolve, right? Um, that's what technology can offer us. And planning engineers really wish to add value. They have the expertise, they have the knowledge, they have the ambition. But they really, have you ever felt that? Like you really want to add some value? You know you can, but you can't. It's because all of your time is wasted and spent on manual progress analysis, manual report preparation. And I came to this conclusion that no planning engineer has enough time in a day to do all of that. You just can't. It is not feasible task for the human brain. I'm trying to change our mindset about project control. I believe that planning engineers should start their job after they complete the report. But most planning engineers, or what we expect from them, is only the progress report. Like spend all of your time preparing the report, submit it on time. Of course, you cannot add value to the project. You cannot make analysis like that. So you need leverage, technology leverage, because we have limited time in a day. You have 8 to 10 hours a day. you can't do everything. So you want to leverage like the one I show you right now. It's like, in this tutorial, it's like I am hiring three full-time planning engineers who do the work for me. But I use software leverage to remove the relationship between the input of ours and the outcome. That's what we want to do. The beautiful part is the software doesn't go on annual leave. It doesn't have benefits. It doesn't call sick on the report submission date. It's free for the most part, and we will come back in a second to that. Another representation of the progress of it's activity wise, but we have graphical format here. So you are not interested in the exact number figure, but you want to look visually about where we are. Again, you can filter concrete. You can change data date if you want. Okay. All indicators are interactive with me. I can use combination of filters. So I look right now at concrete ground floor. So I don't have to go to the XCR file, filter ground floor activity code or WBS and add the columns, all of that. Okay. And here is something else. Okay. Maybe this activity has caught my attention. Slab reinforced concrete. It's in delay by 20%. But is it good or bad? Because again, not all delays are created equal. The next logical question is, how much am I losing here? Because 20% in concrete is really maybe a lot of money, but 20% delay in housekeeping or something like that, it will not probably bother me a lot. So if you hover over this activity, you will see additional information that will help you in your analysis. What is the exact earned value cost? How much money I have made so far? Cost variance, how much money am I falling behind? And the remaining cost. So now I can see the whole picture in a better way. I know how much money am I actually losing here. And I love this tool. I call it activity DNA. It is not a universal term because earned value is universal. Everyone agrees and knows about earned value. But activity DNA, it's my definition. Because DNA in humans can tell a lot about you. It can tell about your health level, your genetic diseases. It can it can say a lot about you. So we have also DNA for each activity. I want to know like everything about this activity, the past performance, the current performance, and so on. So first I will set up a filter. On the floor, concrete, column is steel reinforcement. Okay, so that's the DNA. These bars represent the actual work accomplished, how much progress I achieved in this specific week. I can see the cumulative. So for the progress, I achieved 40% in this week, another 40% in this week, then 5%, 5%, and the remaining 10% in the fifth week. That's the cumulative. So in the second week, I achieved 40% in this week alone, but overall I achieved 80%, and that's the plant. how much progress I should have achieved as per baseline. Clearly, I can see that the activity is ahead of schedule. It started and it has been completed ahead of schedule because that's my actual and that's my plan, right? I'm a practical person, so I don't just submit reports and that's it. I want to really add value. So how can we add value using this chart? Couple of ways. First one is the historic performance because many or all project stakeholders they are busy looking at current variance, like where we are. You can tell them 20% delay. They're gonna say, okay, so what should we do? But it is not the whole picture. We need to look beyond that. Sometimes you are sitting in a meeting and maybe the contractor will say something like, we have done well, we increased the manpower, and we are killing it, right? But maybe if you are a consultant, you can set up the DNA even inside the meeting, like without leaving the meeting, and tell them, no, it is not correct, because as per your schedule update, you achieved 0% last week. And it happens many times. Project manager doesn't always have this information. He is busy doing a lot of stuff. So a project manager sometimes doesn't really know, especially if it's larger project. Sometimes you really have a problem with supervision or material delivery, and you really have like zero progress for one activity. And this activity DNA will tell you everything you need to know. That's one way to add value, to see the past performance. So when you report, when you see 0% here, your problem is really bigger than what you expect. It is not about how you will deal with the variance, because if you do not seal the delay, it will just continue to escalate, right? Second way is according to the baseline, the baseline, I should complete the activity over 3 weeks period. This 3 weeks period. However, according to the actual, it's a 5 weeks period. Yes, you started ahead of schedule and you completed the activity ahead of schedule, but you need to report that, because if you continue with the same performance, you will lose your time saving. You will actually fall in delay. And that's the job of planning engineers, which they don't do really because they lack the tools, they lack the time to do all of that. So you report your concern and tell them, yes, we are, by the way, I have an alarm before anything happens. It helps the project to move forward when you deal with alarms. Be, and imagine that, because sometimes it's better to deal with the project, but if you are like shocked, or you found like in 1 week, oh, you're like you have 10% delay and you have to do something about it, it will take time to recover the delay. It is not like you don't recover delays with a snap of a finger, right? So you have to increase manpower. What is the process? You're gonna talk to your manager, like project director or company management. They're gonna look at it. They will tell you, okay, we will see. It's gonna take a couple of weeks, and maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the road, you will find yourself that you acquire the necessary manpower, but the delay is 30% right now, not 10% anymore. I faced it, you faced it, everyone faced the exact same situation. But if you highlight that the alarm that you take 5 weeks to complete the activity, maybe because of lack of productivity or lack of manpower, you're gonna report to your management. You're gonna take corrective action. The it's gonna be under control. So you are doing your best here. It's earned value trend. I have the bars, how much money I am making every week, and what is the planned, cumulative, and actual cumulative. That's for the whole project. Maybe you wanna concrete only. So be my guest, you can use combination of filters. It doesn't help me to see how much money I am making every week. I wanna see where I am falling behind. And that's where we see the cost variance. So that's how much money I am falling behind. Why do we have to see trends? Here is why. If you are like everyone else, or the majority, assume that this is your most recent week. You're gonna report, okay, people, we have $1.8 million behind the schedule. They're gonna find ways to deal with it. But if you look at the trend, it's fluctuating here. But from this point onward, specifically this week, the delay really increased dramatically. Your problem is not with the variance, it's about the sharp reduction. In this case, because you clearly have a serious problem. You continue to lose money, a lot of money every week. The delay doesn't mitigate. So there is a bigger problem than looking at the variance itself. That's a trend or project delays. At the beginning, we don't have project delays like all projects. We start happily, we report that we complete the project on time just at the beginning. Again, let's look at the trend. The same week I showed you, the exact same week, I continue to have, um, like it's a sharp reduction. It's diving. So what does it tell us here? It tells us that there is a serious problem. The delay escalates, it doesn't stop. Your mitigation measures are a failure. Something deep really is going on here. So what also we can say, what we can see is not only you are losing a lot of money, but these delays are also critical because it is reflected in the project delay trend. Okay. So all the delays I talked about in the cost variance report, it is critical because it affects the critical path. Cost variance. It doesn't help me to tell me that we have $1 million behind the schedule. I want to see what is the breakdown, where is the bulk of this money so I can take an action accordingly. So that's the value of this report. On a specific data date, that's the breakdown of cost variance from highest to lowest. Power BI will sort all causes for me from highest to lowest, and I'm gonna have different sizes if you can see. Each size or the size of each area will be determined based on the relative strength of the value. For example, if slab reinforced concrete cost variance accounts for 30% of the total cost variance, this means you will have the area accounts for 30% of the whole table. And so they will determine that based on the relative strength of the value. Each area is given a unique color for your easy reference. How long will you take to do that manually in Excel? If you can, or if you know how to do it, it's gonna take a while, right? And I can go back to any data date of my choice to see the cost variance. Maybe 2 weeks ago, that's my cost variance. I'm gonna show you something interesting here because I'm really practical person. I don't want to submit colorful reports and that's it. And by the way, if you don't do any analysis, if you only can use Power BI the way I do, you are way ahead of the game. But again, I wanna always look for ways to add value and help my project move forward. Let's look at slab reinforced concrete. I wanna pay attention to that because it's number one cause of cost variance, or the area which accounts for the highest cost variance. I can see when I hover over this area, planned percentage, actual percentage, and the actual percentage over this week period only, over the past week alone. So overall, I achieved 38%, but last week I achieved 0%. How, it really, you want to highlight this information because it's the number one cause, or it is like it ranks first, and you still achieve 0%. So something is wrong here. If you look at the same activity 2 weeks ago, it ranked fourth. So this was the fourth contributing factor. What happens over 2 weeks period is I did not do progress in slab reinforced concrete while I am doing progress for other activities. But because of the lack of action or slow progress, it's actually zero progress, not slow progress, but zero progress. The delay escalated and compounded enough to promote this activity from fourth to first over 2 weeks period. How many planning engineers do you know who can produce results and perform analysis like that? It's not because of the lack of experience or lack of knowledge or ambition. It's the lack of time. It's how you put priorities at your work. You keep your priority to prepare the report, right? And format the report. And I can maybe, if I like this activity, for example, or I want to investigate it further, I'm going to click on it. And the corresponding indicators are interactively updated for me. But why do I add these indicators? Because I can hover over this activity and see whatever I want. Sometimes you want to hover over and just have a quick analysis for yourself to dig deeper and understand what the next step is. But I show them here because sometimes, like for the slab reinforced concrete, so you just click on that activity and have the indicators printed and go to the project manager, for example. So I kept it here for reporting purposes in case you want to make a quick presentation, quick report. So that's the purpose. And by the way, it's all tutorial. I can spend the whole day, talking about Power BI. You can show here any information you want. It's only a tutorial. You can show budgeted labor units. You can show earned value units, labor units. You can show budget total cost. You can show whatever you want, right? It's because it's one model, right? And for the cost variance breakdown, you can replace it with budget total cost. So I want to see the budget total cost breakdown. What is the top factor, or what is the second highest total cost? Like, you can always play with that. It takes a few seconds to do so. You can just, it's like drag and drop because there is one model that connects everything, right? And earned value analysis. Sometimes on a specific data date, you have earned value cost, how much money you have made in the project so far. The next question is, show me where the money is. What is the breakdown? So I'm gonna break it down right now to see where the $9.6 million are. Okay, so I have a breakdown here. Okay, so I know the bulk is there. I can even break it down further, floor wise. Okay, so maybe I wanna go for ground floor. So I have concrete this much, finishes. You can see what it's like tree, tree analysis. So you can always track where the money is. You can choose to break this down instead of ground floor. It's up to you. You can choose to break finishes down, but I'm gonna break the concrete down because it has the most money. You can break it down concrete to slab formwork, slab reinforcement, etc. And you can always go back to any data date of your choice and have the breakdown accordingly. Okay, so we know right now concrete is $1.7 million. Okay, and and I know out of 1.7 million, we have this much for slab reinforced concrete. That doesn't tell me everything, right? So, okay, I have made this much, but is it good or bad? I don't know. So I have added more analysis for myself. I can hover over this activity and I can see planned versus actual. So I know that I am lagging behind by 20%. So that's how you can understand, okay, so I made this much, but I should have made more. Sometimes you are lagging by millions, right? Not few thousands. You can click concrete if it interests you, and indicators will be updated. Same for any path here. What about podium 3? You see, if I click on it, indicators will be updated. The path will change as well. It's all automated. And we can have tower. And you might have an interesting question right now. How long will it take me to prepare and update the report? Well, the answer is shocking because after you finish your schedule update in Primavera, it takes less than 30 seconds to have everything updated inside Power BI because it's like the process is coded. When you think about it, everything is a process. You do the same steps every week. You update the schedule, you add one column for earned value, you type the number into Excel, you have you apply the same mathematical division for SPI, like earned value cost divided by planned cost. Like you do the same steps, right? Like it's routine. Some people find it boring. I find it extremely powerful because if it's a routine, you can automate it. So I don't have to bring my calculator and calculate SPI every week or even do it on Excel because sometimes you miss a zero. It happens to all of us. It happened to me personally. You miss a zero and the whole report is screwed, right?